I should have kept it on for the time, but it's fine. I should have kept my phone on for the time, like to keep an eye on it. Alright, we don't know what time it is.
If she doesn't make it, she doesn't make it.
I think Richard would like it better that way.
I'm sure he would be like interesting.
Yes, sir. She wants to go.
Where they speak. Splash tea. Right there, podium. Just the little things on the ground.
chance that my clothes are not going to arrive. Just to look. So Richard would, if I got dressed up, he would be upset. But
Let's Shirley know to forget it.
yeah, they're rushing back on
No,
it.
but
So
let her know because we can't interrupt.
yeah.
So
I think that,
fabulous.
well, it's good to unload equipment with. So, but between Richard and Brian giving me hell about my clothing, as executives, it's nice to wear shorts all day and sandals. And I'm like, it's actually kind of nice. But this time I wanted to get dressed. I'll let my wife know that not to worry about the clothes so much.
Just tell her we're good to go. We're online.
It is just working. We're gonna go ahead and start. I didn't put it on my own checklist.
Everybody here?
Probably come tearing in there. I've got to. I hate to introduce this whole part, but so we'll pull. I have to just share this one thing. Yeah.
It's on live, so we don't want to.
Okay, are we on live?
Okay,
Well, hello, everybody. I know you all, and I'm so happy that you're here today. And I want to welcome you on behalf of the family to this celebration of life of Richard McKusick, which is awkward for me to say, I have to admit, because I know him as Rick and Ricky. So he's one of these guys that has a lot of names, and you'll learn more about that today. So I'm Jim McKusick. I'm his brother. I'm his little brother. Beautiful day today. I mean, just a blessing that we were able to be here at Rick and Ann's house here in Pasadena and to share this celebration virtually with friends that I can only imagine where people are watching. Alabama, Tennessee, New York, Hawaii, places I'm forgetting, Pennsylvania, all over California. Did I say Las Vegas? Thank you all for joining us, and everyone here too. It's just great that everybody's here to honor him. If we were able to gather in a public place or a church, I would imagine there'd be hundreds of people there, for sure. And that's because he was very, very loved by many, many people, and a great friend to many, many people, and a mentor to many, many people. But the love today and the love that has been shared throughout this journey is larger than any of that from all of the people who have been involved from near and far. I want to thank you for that from the entire family. And I'm so glad that you're all here live in person and virtually today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Craig Jepson, and I am an associate director of the Pasadena Healing Rooms. And I've known Ann now for about 5 or 6 years, would you say? And Dick more recently. So that's sort of my connection. And we're going to do the Lord's Prayer. But I just want to say the Lord's Prayer was a prayer given by Jesus about 2,000 years ago in the Sermon on the Mount and on the Sea of Galilee, probably near Capernaum, and it's a model prayer that has been utilized and enjoyed for centuries. And so I'm going to lead you now in the Lord's Prayer, okay? Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
So I'm going to introduce, actually, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to introduce this. The piece that Stevie Lynn is going to play is La Cathedral by Augustine Barrios. And this prelude was written after the whole piece was actually published. Barrios was on tour and he was alone, missing his family, weeping in tears. He wrote the prelude, the Sudan, just thinking about his family and how far and distant they were and just wanting to be with them. And Richard loved this piece and Stevie Lynn plays it so beautifully. But what's so amazing about the piece is that it reminds me of you, about how much he loves you. And and when he would ask about it, and that smile that he would have on his face, and I knew that smile was that love that he has for you. So, thanks. Beautiful piece, isn't it? Just beautiful. Nice. So while we're waiting for this play, are you ready?
All right. So first off, thank you so much. I remember when he had his first surgery and he beckoned you to come and play in the hospital room, and you were so gracious in doing that, Stevie. And thank you very much for that. And thank you for both of you for your friendship and the group. And he talked about it all the time.
And he didn't invite me to go. That's always interesting. I'm like, so, well, Richard, do you want Stevie?
Who
Really?
knew? So anyway, that's just beautiful. I'm going to share a little bit with you. There's so much to share that you just can't do it. But you're going to hear some really great things said today. And I want to share about growing up a little bit. As the little brother named Jimmy and the big brother named Ricky. 4-year-old boy running down the hallway, Highland Park, California. And as big brothers do sometimes, they take it to you. He stuck his foot out. I flew across the room, landed on the corner of a chair, and got a dimple. At 4 years old, tissue went dead, dimple developed, and I'd like to think that maybe that was one of the reasons why I was lucky enough to get Terry. So there was benefit in that, right? He's in the Army. He comes back. He lives with us in Las Vegas for a little while. I come home from school and he's waiting for me. Says, Jimmy, put your hand on my shoulder. I said, okay. I put my hand on his shoulder, grabs my arm, flips me onto the carpet. I'm down. Then he promptly said, I learned that in training. Well, I was a sucker for this many times. I think I wanted to do it. Maybe there was some kind of love involved in this punishment. So after grabbing him on his shoulder and his wrist and around his waist and all the different moves that he showed me, the thing that was happening was he was showing me how to defend myself, is what he was doing. Oh, there are other stories about tossing a giant Snoopy at me as we shared a bedroom together for a while. I mean, I'm talking about a Snoopy that stood this big. And I was snoring, and I had a really ugly snore. Thank goodness it's gone for Terry's sake. But it was really, really bad. I could imitate it for you a little bit. It went like this. And I'm serious. That's how it was. And so he would throw a Snoopy at me, or he would throw a shoe at me, and just, hey, knock it off, Jimmy. But one of the other things I love that he did, and I shared this with this actual song with some people last night here, and is that he would come back from working at the test site, and his hours were like the swing shifts, so he wouldn't get home until almost midnight, because it's about a 90-minute drive, I think, to get back home. And I'm in school, 5th grade, and he comes in and he would play this song that was the Motown song the Supremes did, Set Me Free, Why Don't You, Babe? But he played, and you got to look this up if you don't know it already, the Vanilla Fudge version. I urge everybody to look it up. Sarah knows what I'm talking about. I played it for Sarah. And it has an opening that just is so dramatic and rocks. And he would crank it up to the highest volume he could to wake me up. And he would just be sitting on the edge of the bed cracking up. I mean, he was a fun guy, and he was a mean guy a little bit, I guess, but in a good way. In a good way. So yeah, he took it to me. But he also took care of me. Friday night at dinner, I'm going to head to Southern California. Jimmy, you want to go with me? I mean, just a spur of the moment. We had friends that lived down here from when we were going up here for a little while. And I'd say, heck yeah, I want to go, because that could mean Disneyland. It could mean Knott's Berry Farm, the beach, a Dodger game, hanging out with the Koenig family. I mean, it was fun. Fun. And while he was living in New York City before he went into the Army. Sometimes parents can't get together for whatever reason. And I would always go up there for the summer to spend time with my dad. And he was there this summer. And nobody was able to pull it together for some reason financially, and I didn't know about that. He paid my way to get there. I mean, didn't have much money. I think he was peeling potatoes at the UN at that time. I know he was working in the kitchen, but I just found out about that actually within the last couple of years that he did that. So he took care of me too. And oh yeah, you've heard it. He was a track star, surfer. He played some tennis. But did you know he was a stuntman? Told you that he worked at the test site. He had this little convertible Austin Healey. Probably got it for really, really dirt cheap. But it was a really cool kind of a James Bond type of looking car. So he's driving it to the test site, and it catches on fire. So here's your G-Paw in a convertible Austin Healey, and it catches on fire, and he lets it roll, and while it's rolling, he springs out of it because the top was down, just like a movie, and breaks his wrist as he jumps out. Yes. So stuntman, as well as all of the other wonderful things we know about him. As we grew up, Ricky turned into Rick and then into Big Daddy. Thanks to Terry. Terry named him Big Daddy as she was coming here. Our daughter Kristen and a couple of friends were auditioning for American Idol. And who could she like reach out to and trust that could guide her along the way? I wasn't going to be able to go. So she reached out to Rick and he became Big Daddy. She's like, Big Daddy, I need your help. How exactly do I get there? And what do I do? And when they were here, they took care of him. Ann and Rick took care of him, put him up here and everything. And he sent her on her way home with the directions of everything that had to be done. And Big Daddy just kind of took off from there. Big Daddy is kind of like, I kind of like refer to almost like the Godfather or something like that. But we all have our Big Daddy moments with him where we know that we can go to him with anything and he can talk to us about it and he can work it out with us and figure things out. So Big Daddy, we love you, Big Daddy. He did that for us all the time. He offered Kristen was an aspiring actress. And he said, listen, if you're going to be down here, why don't you live with us? I'll drive you to the auditions. I'll wait outside in the hallway while you're auditioning. Him and Tyler, our son Tyler, both big time guitar players, face to face at either here or at our house, exchanging thoughts and ideas on chords and progressions. And he taught Tyler an Andres Segovia song. And Tyler just sprang that upon us the other day. And we were talking to Tyler. He said, we were FaceTiming with him. He said, let me play it for you. Uncle Rick taught this to me. He sure loves his nieces and his nephews and his grandkids and his whole family. And you're going to hear a lot more memories about Dad, G-Paw, and how he's such a great, loving husband to Ann, which I know. And I'm so thankful for you, Ann. So many good times together. I will miss being together. But as Winnie the Pooh said, if there ever comes a day when we can't be together, keep me in your heart because I'll stay there forever.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dan Geary. I'm Rick McKusick's little brother. No notes, but don't be alarmed. I had a few. I have a different perspective with Rick, and for all of his friends that are, watching the live stream. You're hearing us refer to him as Rick or Ricky. That's what we referred to him to before he came back to California and resumed his professional career here. And he changed the shortened version of Richard to Dick because he felt that it was, that Rick was sort of a different part of his life, that it was more of his sort of his youth. And that was his family and youth, and so he changed it to Dick. And at his wedding with Ann, that was the time that I discovered that his father Hal discovered that as well, and Hal acknowledged that his new shortened name and with an expression I won't put on Facebook because it's a family-friendly social channel. A few things I wanted to say about Rick and in being his youngest brother. Rick and I, Jim is my rock hand, but he's also the bridge of our family because I never lived with Rick. He was my brother, but I never had the pleasure of tormenting him as little brothers are allowed to do that I did with Jim and our brother Mike. So, there's sort of these three phases for me. of my relationship with him. One is Rick, the older brother that I saw on holidays and on special occasions and on very sad occasions too. So, you know, that whole time period with him was always, you know, him as this incredibly strong person, an uncle, but not an uncle, a brother, but I didn't get to pour cold water on his head while he was sleeping in the middle of the night. So, you know, there's Rick McKusick, the holiday brother, right? He, you know, we would climb into the pool together and we would do our very best to push him under the water, and he would pretend to almost, you know, do so and then toss us across the pool. And so there was this wonderful, just really sort of happy piece, but there wasn't the ups and down parts of that. If you understand what I'm saying, that happens with living with people, right? And then for us, for me, this was Rick, the mentor as well. And I think that all of us here, and especially for his friends and colleagues professionally that he mentored, will understand this, how supremely clear and direct that he spoke. If you came to Rick with, hey, I want to talk to you about something, there's an issue, whether it's work, it's the Geary company, it's my company, it's other things that sort of pieces. He spoke with this incredible directness and clarity that was so invaluable over the years. And so that's sort of the second time for me, that's sort of the second phase for him. And it wasn't just Jim and Mike and I, you know, with that, it was our father too. You know, it was Dick Geary as well. So there was that second piece. And then, you know, this sort of unstoppable person, the only thing that could ever stop him that I ever saw was this illness that, you know, stopped him in his tracks. And literally the most aggressive form of brain cancer was the only thing that could get Rick McKusick to hold still. Right. And so I watched him start this journey, a different kind of journey. And this time holding still, he set upon a very serious and very thoughtful, as he did everything, exploration of his faith. And it was important to him, and it was invaluable to him, and he embraced it. And so I'm so happy for him to do that. I had the opportunity, because of this insanity going on with the virus and everything, that my life became very portable over the last several months. So I thought to myself, you know, I want to know him more than the holiday brother and the mentor. So I started coming here every minute, and I did, and I learned so much about him, how sweet he is. I saw the sweetest parts of him. I saw the least sweet parts of him. I saw the scared parts, as we all did. When he couldn't communicate, and he could barely move. He would be listening to music, and he would be motioning his hand, and he was plucking chords. And he loved his time with you, both of you, so very much. And Sarah, we've embraced you. You're one of us. God help you. We've also discovered your entrepreneurial spirit, and we're going to embrace that as well. So this journey that he was on was hard, but I think it was important. I think it was important for him. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have spent that time with him in a way that I may not have before that. So thank you one more time, Rick. Thank you for this incredible family. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. That was amazing, as always. Definitely, it's definitely from your heart. We appreciate that. So I'm more of the computer guy, so I'm gonna be reading a little bit more, I think, than no notes like Dan. But my name is John McKusick, and I'm gonna share a story about my dad. I'm gonna try not to cry. But first, thanks everyone for being here that can make it in person. Thank you everyone that can be online and watch this. And be part of this with us. And I just want to recognize Anne through all of this as well, because it's definitely like it's been an honor just being with you through on the front lines for the last almost year and a half of with my dad battling cancer, and it has been a battle, and it showed how strong you are and like how you handle this so well, and it's been very inspiring for me. And then I want to thank Brittany, my wife, and my kids, and my mom, and my stepdad Alf, and Sarah and Romy too, and just family and friends for kind of helping through the journey and through all of this. Because I've definitely been asked a million times, "Are you okay? Are you handling this okay?" And the only way I think I've been able to handle it is just having good friends and family, and just having people to talk to. So it's been awesome. So. We're all here to celebrate my dad's life. As his only son, this was really hard to figure out because there's so many stories and there's just too many stories to tell. I think Jim had a couple of really good ones I never heard, so that was awesome. But my story is to share my dad's love of cooking. And so my dad made the world's best chicken. And like, you got really into it and really into the detail, you might not have known where the chicken came from, where the chicken's name, but he knew how to buy the chicken, and he knew to go to Whole Foods to get his chicken, which he called full paycheck. So we would he loved cooking so much, we would joke around about like starting a restaurant, calling it like Little Dick's or Ricardo's. And he'd read, he's a voracious reader. Still like the person I know that's read the most out of anyone. He could pretty much devour a 300-page book in a day or two, and take it in and read every word, which is incredible. And so he read a lot of Bon Appetit and a lot of cookbooks, but he would take those, and like an artist or like a musician, he would take those recipes and like make them art and like really take it to the next level. And so, so today I'm going to share with you guys how my dad made the world's best chicken. Yeah, 6 steps. So step 1, obviously you drive over to Whole Paycheck and buy the most outrageously expensive plump chicken breasts. Is farm raised, grass fed, just the very best. And then sometimes when we're at the store at Whole Foods, Ann would yell out, "Where's the chicken dick?" And so step 2. Yeah, we played a lot with that. Yeah. So step 2, with the chicken, you got to wash and prep the chicken. He never liked handling raw chicken. He thought it was gross. But he would do it, and he would meticulously wash and clean it because we're gonna have an amazing dinner with family and friends. So he'd really do that part he didn't like, but he'd do a great job at it. Step 3, so we want to celebrate the quality of the chicken. You don't want to put, soak it in too much oil or like soak it in like basket too long. So we keep it really simple, put a little salt and fresh ground pepper, maybe a little organic virgin olive oil, just keep it really simple. Step 4, he would heat, and I may not have this part exactly right, but he'd heat a cast iron pan, get it super hot with some oil on there as well, and then just sear the chicken front and back really quick and get it like nice and like caramelized on both sides. Step 5, you take that caramelized chicken, move into a casserole dish and put it into the oven and bake it at a low heat for hours, and just make it like so tender and soft. And then final step, obviously, we'd eat it and we'd enjoy it with family and friends, serve it with fresh veggies, Anne's amazing salad, always, and just tons of laughing and a lot of out eating together. So my dad was an amazing father, and he left me with all I could ever ask for. He left me with a lifetime of fun. He left me, or he challenged me all the time, which was awesome. He taught me how to cook chicken. He taught me the importance of humor, how to manage stocks and money, how for me to be a great father and a friend and a husband. And he gave me McKusick genetics, which I'm very happy about. And most importantly, he taught me how to love and be loved. So in closing, I just want to share part of one of my favorite speeches, kind of that's on this topic. So here we go. It's quick. So no one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It is life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. And right now, the new is you. Thank you.
Hey guys, this is my mom's script, but if she was up here reading it, obviously we don't like seeing people crying, and she would water the grass really well. But yeah, so this is her speech, not mine. So if I say my dad, it's hers. Okay. When I think of my dad, I always think of the 1980s. I picture him hanging out in Pasadena in his prime working days, driving his BMW around and having fun with his coworkers. I always remember him introducing me to Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and Don't You Want Me, Baby? Don't you want me? Oh! Yeah. He was such a fun girl dad. He would pick me and John up for the weekend and always have a really fun thing planned, like going to the mountains, Disneyland, the water slide park, playing racquetball, Las Vegas trips, you name it. We did it. As I got older and moved to Hawaii and came back to California for visits, we would always go to the most delicious restaurants, and he would always order a feast, or he would cook the best gourmet meals. I would always look forward to whatever food we were going to indulge with my dad. The only downside was that I would also go home 5 pounds heavier. What I found so awesome about my dad was that no matter what I was doing in my life, he was always proud of me and supportive, even if it wasn't the most ideal way to live according to society. My dad was so intelligent and so fun to talk to about history, finances, and music. I still remember the day we were driving in the car and I was 12 and he showed me who Jim Morrison and the Doors was. His sense of humor was definitely my favorite. Even in the worst situations, he would try to make it funny to lighten up the room. He was such a great host and people person. He always saw the best in everyone, which is what made me the person I am today. I feel so lucky that I have such a wonderful dad who taught me to be easygoing, live life to the fullest, always see the glass half full and just enjoy my life. Even at the end, when he couldn't talk, the only way I could get him to use his voice was, "Come here." I could also get him to laugh by telling him the story about how Darla went on a walk and saw a bunch of coyotes. He would go from not being able to say anything to cracking up laughing. He was my big guy. I will miss him like crazy, but the fact that I had such an amazing role model for my 40 years on this earth, I will be forever grateful.
Hi, I'm Brittany. I'm Johnny's wife and writer, and he's and grandson. And Hannah's over there. And I just wanted to read a verse from the Bible. In the second book of Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Hi everybody, I'm Simone, and I'm gonna read my note to people. I didn't know what I was going to say because I loved everything about him. I loved his jokes. He was an amazing cook. He was the best people I could ever ask for. Every time we would come over, he would always mess with Rosie to make us laugh. It was almost like he was meant for fun. Last time we were here, he gave me his special guitar, and I promised I was going to learn how to play it, and I'm going to keep that promise for the rest of my life. I'm so
He had a song that he wanted to play. He wanted to sing, but I don't feel like he can do it right now. So it basically just says that he loves his Jukwa and he misses him. He was the best Jukwa in the world. So that's it.
Great invite.
Hello again. I'm gonna do mine, and it's improv, so I don't have a script. G-Paw was a really good grandpa to me. He was really he was fun. He could never stop making people laugh. I remember he would always go on walks with Rosie. He would always like do the funniest things ever. He would cook the best food. It's almost like he's a machine that could not stop making people laugh. But I'm really gonna miss him, but at least we know he's in peace now.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Sarah Hammond. I'm the one who has been taking care of Richard since he came from the hospital. I was at home one night, they called me and they said, I have to go to Pasadena. I live in Pasadena, but they told me there's a gentleman who's coming from the hospital and we need somebody to take care of him. I said, okay, right. I came here. When I came here, Richard to me was demanding his wife to wear a business suit before he meets me. So we started laughing. Then I told him, no, you don't have to wear a suit. He said, no, I need to wear a suit. Then I knew I'm home. So I started taking care of Richard. I took care of him for almost 300 nights. Never took a day off. I never took a day off because I was worried that because we used to have caregivers and they will leave. They won't come back. Like I was worried if I take days off, then Richard won't have anybody take care of him. He might end up being taken to a rehabilitation somewhere else. And one time he was telling his wife, oh, I can go to a rehab. And Anne started crying and said, Richard, I won't be able to see you. I need to see you every day. So I put it to myself that I will stay until the end. I'll take care of Richard. I'll never leave. And I also promised him. While I was taking care of Richard, sometimes he was very nice to me most of the time. He called me his angel, even if his daughter was here. I'm Sarah and the daughter is called Sarah. But whenever I would call Sarah, I would say, I'm calling Sarah angel, meaning me. Then I was like, how about your daughter? It's like, he's my daughter, you're my angel. So I was so special in his life. I remember whenever during his hobby, Richard would be quiet. And when I come, Richard starts smiling, start laughing. And I will be like, oh, you were quiet the whole day. How come like you're smiling now? Then he'll say, okay, my night has started. She's the party girl. I want the party girl here. Yeah. So we had good times with Richard. Sometimes he would get mad at me, fighting. Tell him before I go home, let me make breakfast for you. Within a minute, then it's like, okay, we're fine. You're not fired anymore. Yeah, Richard was very, very nice person. And every person who took care of Richard, even if they took care of him for one day, they will still call me and ask me, how is Richard? There are some caregivers that took care of Richard and advanced themselves and went to school and they work in hospitals. They will still text me and ask me, how is Richard, even if they no longer work here. Richard taught me how to be, and he would also sing this Bob Marley, "Don't worry, be happy." Even if it was a sad moment, he would just say, "Don't worry, be happy." And sometimes we play loud music, and Anne will come from upstairs. What's going on? What's going on? Very early in the morning, playing that song. Richard taught me how to be strong, taught me how to be brave. And one time he told me, we were talking, I was telling him about retirement. I'm like, getting old retirement. And he told me how to save money because I saved money. He taught me how to save money. And he told me I can also use what I do best to do like a business. That's when I thought of like open up my own agency. So I'll open up my own agency. It's already open and it's called Brave Hearts Care. That's from Richard. And it's because I honor Richard, I'll take care of other people and I'll make sure families stay together. They don't separate, especially like spouses whereby your spouse lives in a nursing home and you live at home lonely. Whoever I take care of, I'll make sure they stay together. I'm going to read Psalms 23 because Richard loved this very much. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely your goodness, love will follow me all the days of my life, and I'll dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Let's celebrate Richard. Richard wanted everybody to be happy. Thank you.
Okay. When Dick was first diagnosed with this aggressive brain tumor, Ann contacted me and asked if I could come by each week to pray for him and to encourage him and just engage him in conversation. And I said I was happy to do so. And the whole time that I was on this journey with him in this last year, I have to say I looked forward, Ann, each week coming to be with you guys. You made me feel so welcome, and it, you know, it would have been nice if the circumstances would have been a little different, but I always felt so welcomed by him and by you. And for a few years, I only knew Dick as Ann's husband, and we would have our healing groups and Christmas party at the Flame Jumper in Monrovia, and Ann would come and Dick would be there, and I'd meet him, and he acted like he really enjoyed being there. He was so friendly, and I just remember he felt so comfortable in his own skin. That was just something that just sort of stood out about him. Then about 15 months ago, I was really able to get to know him and cultivate a relationship and friendship with him through unfortunate circumstances. One of the first things I asked him when I came here is, Dick, what are you interested in? And you know what his answer was? Everything. That was, and those of you who know him are probably not surprised that he would have an answer like that. So we talked about a lot of stuff. I noticed all the art throughout your house, and so we talked about that. I sort of started there, and my mother was an artist. She was art major at UCLA, and she was a pretty good artist. And so we talked a lot about art, and then we talked about music. And of course, I noticed the guitar, and I myself, about 25 or 30 years ago, played guitar and classical guitar. Not well, but I took the lessons, and I learned Malagueña and all that. And I told him so he whips out his guitar and plays it for me better than I did. And but he was very interested, and he wasn't just interested in telling me about himself, but he wanted to know about me and about just all the questions. And that's a sign of a great person that's really interested in the other person. And I had a handmade classical guitar, a Tarata, I guess it was called. I still have it, and but the strings had been changed like forever. So he went out and got new strings and restrung my guitar, and it sounded fantastic. And you know, then he said, "Why don't you play something for me?" Well, I hadn't played in like 25 years. You know, you don't have any calluses on your finger, you know, and you know, what's that saying? If you haven't played in one day, I will know it. If you haven't played in 2 days, the critics will know it. If you haven't played in 3 days, the whole world will know it. You know, I'm just trying to knock out these basic chords. But he was so gracious and so encouraging, you know, and he almost talked me into getting back into the guitar. he had a very persuasive quality about him. And so we talked about guitar and music, and he liked a lot of the oldies. I do too. And then we talked about sports. I'm a big Dodger fan, and we talked a lot about economics, and we had a lot of things in common. It's amazing how many things but I work for an investment firm in Irvine, but I was more interested in precious metals, which were a big bull market about 10 years ago, kind of is now too, but he knew a lot about stocks and bonds and mutual funds. And every time I came here, I could always count on the Wall Street Journal, I think Investors Business Daily, right? Is that one that he subscribed to? And other financial books, they were all around. And so he liked to talk about that. And I would like to have had some more conversations with him on that subject, because he excelled in investing. We talked about the issues of the day a little bit, tried to keep it light, and talked about different issues of the day. He's also a dog lover. He had the 2 little dachshunds and he just loved them. And I know you did too, little Rosie. And then I found out the other one was named Baby, right? I just found that out. And, I have a golden retriever and a hound, and I totally love them. And so I know about that. And Rosie was dying at the same time that Dick was going through all of his pain. So, I mean, it was sad, I could see the pain that he was experiencing with Rosie. Then we would talk about religion, and specifically the person of Jesus. Who was Jesus? Who is Jesus? What are the benefits that accrue to us by handing the reins of our life over to the Lord? And some of the benefits, of course, forgiveness of sins, but also peace, joy, hope, purpose in life, all of these things and many more. And we minister at the healing rooms, and people come from really hard situations, and we see God engage people with his love and his power and his presence. And it's a beautiful thing. And some of you may have heard of Blaise Pascal. He was a Frenchman. He was a mathematician. He was a physicist. In physics, he was an authority in physics. He was an inventor. He was a writer and a theologian. He was kind of like the French version of Benjamin Franklin. He had a lot of different hats and a lot of different giftings. But anyway, Blaise Pascal said, in every human soul, there is a God-shaped vacuum. And he was saying, you can have the 180 IQ, the perfect personality, the perfect looks, and all of these things. But but Jesus, God completes us. And there's a little bit of a shift here. Ozzy Osbourne, he was the lead singer of Black Sabbath back in the 70s. And I remember him saying once, I would give millions if I could just find peace. And I was thinking to myself, here was a guy that, I really was pretty into rock music, especially back in those days, especially. And he was kind of held in high esteem by many. But he said, I'd give millions if I could just find peace. And I was thinking, in Jesus, he is the essence of peace. He's the Prince of Peace. We don't have to pay a penny to get it. It's there for the taking by embracing him. And just give a little bit about testimonials. When I would come to pray for Dick, it wasn't just about giving some theory that, platitudes. I was talking about how God is real, how one of the benefits we see is healing. Now, unfortunately, we don't see every single person healed, but we've seen many people healed. And we'll be sharing in a bit, but 5 or 6 years ago, she was suffering with a breast cancer that spread all through her body. And I just remember the day when we prayed and God's power came into her body. She just felt it. We lifted up her hands and we worshiped for like 20 minutes. And it was a beautiful thing. Now, she went to the doctors and engaged them too, but the God supernaturally encountered her. My son, who was 33 last week, is in information security, but he was diagnosed with spina bifida and hydrocephalus and was supposed to be retarded and paralyzed. And they begged us to abort him. And we gathered people around us that were full of faith and prayer and believed that healing was available. And God did a miracle over several months. The water on the brain stopped. They said he would still be paralyzed. My wife never did feel him kick, but when he came out, he was kicking, and he's a testament to the power of God. And we see many things. Dick had this tumor. We've seen a number of tumors that have left. We had one of our healing room team members had a tumor on the top of her head, and that was the strangest looking thing. We prayed for that thing. We saw that thing go down right before our very eyes. I brought my golden retriever for prayer, and she had tumors, and the Lord took all of those. So I'm just saying, we were talking about something that we knew firsthand was real. And so we were engaging the Lord in this, and why some get healed and some don't. You know, these are big questions, and we just, some things we'll never know till we get to the other side for sure. But anyway, Dick is pain-free right now, that's for sure. And he, you know, you and Dick are going to meet up down the road. And but anyway, I remember the day I was sitting in his study over. Is that, you call that the study? I don't know what room you call that, but anyway, we were over there. We were talking about archaeology or geology. We talked about everything. And he liked to go to Israel, and I saw your book on Israel. And Israel intrigues me, and I want to go there someday too. We were just talking, and all of a sudden the Lord spoke to me. Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, he's ready to receive me. He's ready to be born again. And Ann's in the other room making doctor's appointments and stuff like that. She's on hold. And I said, Ann, you need to get in here. And Ann said, well, I'm on the phone, and, you know, I've been waiting, you know, whatever. I said, you got to get in here. So that I had them hold hands, and we prayed, and I just led him in the prayer, and he received the Lord into his heart. The presence of the Lord came down in such a beautiful way. And it was an amazing thing. And, you know, God began to show himself strong to Dick in different ways. Like, he'd get up in the middle of the night. This is one of the things that happened. You guys probably already heard this, that he decided to try and walk. And he, you know, I was thinking about Carol Burnett and that Tim Conway and that little shuffle that he would do. I could just see him shuffling over to the, but he wanted to prove he could do it. He made it to the bathroom, then he got over against the counter, and then started doing these 45-degree angle push-ups against the counter, and then shuffled on back to his bed in the middle of the night, right, Ann? And so there was that, and then he had these amazing dreams and visions, and I thought, well, maybe he just had a pizza with too many anchovies or something. You know, at first, you know, it was like about Rocky and Bullwinkle and you know, the cartoon, and then I realized God was speaking to him through these dreams and these visions, and it was just amazing. And he was at the hospital, and he was sharing from his heart with some of the caregivers there, and so the Lord had really touched him in a profound way. And I would just like to finish something that he wrote. Where do I have that? I knew this was going to happen. Okay, he wrote something called What I Believe. And this is one of the key parts, or the key part. He said, the good news, and the word, the gospel means good news. The good news is that we have a God that has redeemed the sins of the world through his grace. And that is for all of his creatures. And if we accept this sincerely, our life is transformed and our past and present sins are forgiven. So he wrote that. This was in December of 2019. So that was 8 or 9 months ago, he wrote that. So, amen. Well, my sharing is done. So,
next we're gonna lead in some worship. Waymaker, we're gonna be performing, and I encourage all of you guys, the lyrics are on the program to sing along with us. And we just love Richard so much. We really do.
Can I just say, when Stevie Lynn, when you asked for her to play in the program, she was really struggling because she's saying, I'm pretty sure I can't keep it together, James. And I said, I'll help you keep it together, because what he always did when he came over, and when Raul, who's watching, and the studio that's watching, what he would always do was he would remind us that life is to be lived. And as sad as his passing is, and that as black as moments have been, knowing that life's not with us, I know him, and I know that he wants us to live. He wants us to live our life and to see beauty and joy every day. And I said to Stevie, it is sad. I mean, losing somebody like that is really hard. But for the message that he gave to us, that he told us all the time, and no matter what adversity, concerts, whatever would happen, things that was, he said, there's a solution. He said, he said, look for the light and look for the solution. And so, so just playing for him, just giving that love is really big part of it.
Yeah. So if you guys could help us sing this, that would be great.
So this was one of his absolute favorite songs. In fact, I believe when we visited, it was on.
Yeah.
On.
And said he listened to it many, many times a day.
I have to say, this is just a beautiful day and a beautiful family. And thank you for getting through that. It was, he loved James and Stevie Lynn and their music, and loves all of you. So I say he's the way maker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. That is who you are, God. And I say he's my meal maker, my finance keeper, my steady rock in the darkness, my laughter lifter, my best friend, my soulmate, my pilgrim, and that is who you are, Richard McKusick. On our wedding day 36 years ago, I thought to myself that even if we made it to 50 years, it would just not be enough time to love him. And it's true, it just was not enough time. But I'd like to share just a few cherished aspects of him that I loved. And of course, you've all heard it today about his humor. Well, many of you talked about the McKusick family humor. Most of it is quite biological, which it wasn't like I just liked the biological part of it, although it was really funny. But I have to say, no matter what, he had great delivery, great timing, great jokes. But what I loved most is that he would get so tickled with his own jokes. He would laugh so much that I would just laugh at his laughing. So it pretty much got to the point, no matter what the joke was, just him laughing made me have funny tears because I just loved it. And I loved his determination. He never shied away from hard work. In his finance career, he loved to coach his team. His joy was always their success. And he was a gifted impromptu speakers like some of our grandchildren. In his management meetings, he liked to entertain people. And I would like prepare forever, but no, he would have two little ideas and just go up and for 20 minutes, just entertain everybody. One time he did an Elvis impersonation just to make a point at his management meeting. But he loved to study and take tests. And he had about 20 financial licenses, including a certified financial planner. And then in his retirement, if that weren't enough time to say, I'm done with testing, oh no, then he had to study on and on to be a tax preparer. But he just loved to study. But I have to say his most fun study challenge was learning the classical guitar with James. He just loved picking the hardest pieces. He would dissect them, he would analyze them, he'd memorize them, and then he'd practice them over and over and over again. And I just loved that the house was always filled with the music of his playing the guitar. And he loved the community of musicians that he was a part of. But he said to me that the hardest work that he ever did was being a dad and raising children. But he said that it wasn't just hard, it was just the best of all of his accomplishments. And it was the most rewarding of all. And he used to always tell that to John and Sarah, because he knows that, you know, raising kids is hard work. But he found it the most, and he was so proud of John, Sarah, and Lisa. And he trusted them implicitly. A lot of times when I would want to jump in and say, oh, do this, do that, say this, he would be always like, chill. You know, he would always be backing off, allowing them to make their own decisions and to learn from them. That's what I mean by trust. He had such trust in them. I remember when Sarah moved to Maui at age 19, he swore she would be home in a month. But 20 years later, she's still there. And he always felt like no matter what he thought was best for her or what he thought she should do, or John or Lisa, he always felt that he wanted them to pursue their dreams. And that's the dream he wanted to support. John's business and creative acumen continued to amaze him. And he always, just like Johnny would talk and he'd be like, whoa, you know, he's just like, wow, where did John learn all that? He wanted John so much, he valued Johnny, that he just wanted Johnny to take charge of his valued investments. And if you know Dick, nobody wrestled those investments out of his hand. So the fact that he wants Johnny to, only Johnny, you know, that just tells you the trust that he has in Johnny's mind. And all the house projects, as Dick was, you know, knowing he was going along the journey, he knew that things in the house were going to need help. And he was really worried that I would let the house fall apart, I think. And he said, so he wanted to be sure that Johnny would take care of the house so it wouldn't fall apart. That's how we trust Johnny. Lisa's creativity and her intuitive insights, those really helped him in his journey to wholeness. He was always in awe of her courage, especially as she was in her own cancer journey. And she inspired him to be strong and courageous and to hold on to what is true and good and in his faith. And I loved his curiosity. People have said this, he was always reading a book, books, a book about finance or history, like heavy substance. His last big one was Hamilton, and I think it was 900 pages long, and he read the whole thing, loved it. Incredible mental discipline that he had, and appreciation for ideas and words and concepts and meaning. He was an adventurer, and he loved exploring great cities and cultural centers, natural beauty, and he loved especially finding the hidden gems in cuisine. One time when we were in Amsterdam with my sister, we had done our urban hiking all day, trying to maybe find a place to duck in and have a little meal in the evening. Well, we ducked in, and it was a 3-star Michelin restaurant. Well, he could never get over that all of a sudden we got a seat. Impromptu in our walking clothes, but it was awesome. But this last year was an adventure in faith, transformative and insightful about the really deeper issues of life. One night in November, when our friend Dottie was here, he reminisced in great detail for hours with a hearty appreciation for his high school teachers. And literature. And then he was going through all of his family, how much his family appreciated every one of his family. And then he was really appreciative of the people in Massachusetts, our roots, the McKusick roots there and the newfound family there. And he just was crying with gratitude. And his memory was such that each memory he had was almost a little miniature painting. Every little detail, he'd remember what somebody said, like a high school teacher, what she said and what she wore and how it impressed him. And I realized, it's just like his memory was so fine-tuned. And I realized that I think it was sort of like detail and emotion. So anyway, in this conversation, it was going on for hours, and he was so articulate about these memories and his loves. And at the end of the conversation, he says to us, I am the most interesting person I know. And so of course, we laughed hysterically, including him, right? And then he said, no, really, it's true. He said, I enjoy listening to myself. And I enjoy listening to my inner adventure, So he was so funny. But I also loved his spiritual yearning. And it wasn't something new. It was really our entire 36 years or so that I knew him. He was always wondering, and even I know from people that knew him years and years before I did, said the truth. The way his brain worked is once he felt like it was true, well, then he's on with it, right? Then he gets it and he moves on. But he could never get enough, whatever he needed to say that God was all true and Jesus was true and Jesus was God. In other words, he just back and forth. But it was his greatest lifelong pursuit. He studied, he argued with people, he listened, he went to groups, all on his pilgrimage. But I've had the joy of watching this inner transformation, especially this past 15 months, because he said being sick caused him to get off the fence. So I watched him as he released anger. He had healing of past wounds. He was seeking and receiving forgiveness and healing in relationships. And many of you know what I mean. And his daily expression of gratitude. And when he had a wrong attitude or hurting word for somebody, he really felt bad about it. And always at the end of the day, he would make up with the caregivers who, always were taking care of him. But sometimes he was, let's say, a little feisty. And at the end of the day, though, he always would say, I'm sorry, give him a fist bump, and then he'd say, I love you. And so they kept coming back, right? I was always worried, oh, they're going to never come back. But no, they would stood them up at the end after he, gave him a hard time. His heart was being tenderized this whole time. He told our friend Jeannie one day that he had a spiritual change of heart. And he said he was feeling a greater love and acceptance of people than he ever had before. He said that Jesus had poured love into his heart, and now he knew what love really felt like. He experienced a new appreciation for his emotions. He had gratitude. He had a lot of gratitude, lots of love, laughter, loss. We had 3 days where he just couldn't get over that Rosie had passed a year before, right? But it took him a year to say how sad he was about Rosie. But then he just loved feeling all the color of the emotions. And sometimes because he had this tender heart, he might be all emotional, and we'd have to say, are you sad, happy? And it would usually be gratitude, but we never knew because he would be crying. And you could think, well, he's sad, but it wasn't always sad. It might just be that he's just feeling grateful or touched. He was thoughtful and intentional in his words. And in early June, one night he said to me, there are some things I want to share with you, but I want the counselor to be there. So of course I'm thinking, is there something, no, but I knew that it wasn't that. I knew it wasn't the case, I thought. But anyway, so the next day we spoke with the counselor on the telephone, and he whispered because he was not talking loudly at that point. And he said, I wanted to be sure to tell Ann these things. And he wanted to do it, not that these were new thoughts, but he wanted to do it clearly in front of a witness. And these are really his parting comments to me. He said, I love you so much. You have made a great contribution to our family, and I'm so proud of you. And he just really wanted to just try to get that out there for eternity. So a few months ago, while we were waiting for some friends to visit, Dick said to me, he knew he was declining. He knew he didn't look as good as he did months before. And he said, I don't want them to feel sorry for me. Right? And that really took me by surprise. And I said, well, I assured him, no one's feeling sorry for you. And he said, because I'm in a good place. He said, I don't want them to feel sorry for me for my condition. He said, I'm in a good place. Having cancer has brought me to this place of peace with God and with Jesus. So to me, it's all been worth it. And I was really wow. It was totally almost changed the way I was seeing him too. Because I realized that sometimes I would see what was missing, right? He wasn't thinking this clearly, or he wasn't walking, but he was thinking how much he had gained. And Dick knew that you, God, are the way maker. You're the promise keeper. You were his light in the darkness. That is who you are. In the Bible, in Philippians, it says, therefore, we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. And I think that's what Dick was focused on. He was focused on that eternal glory. And we might have been seeing what was gone, but he was seeing what was there. And for him, that peace filled it all up. And that gives me a lot of peace now as I, move forward without him, is that I know that the peace that he has is continuing, and he's full of it. He's full with it. I was always touched by his courage. Each night when we said goodnight, we had a prayer, and he would say, it was a good day. And it was just the simple things, talking to his brother, a call from a family, talking to a friend, listening to the laughter of his grandkids, a good meal, going outside, just hearing some good music or a show like Father Brown, or hearing a prayer. He said those gave him really deep fulfillment. We were committed together to seeing the good in keeping our eyes focused heavenward in the midst of it all. And after he passed a few weeks ago, the hospice nurse was in tears, Sonia. We asked her, how could she have such emotions? You know, how could you have a job like this, you know, where you're so emotional every time, you know, one of your patients would pass? She said, oh, I'm not like this with most of my patients or with most of the people. He said, Richard's different and your family is different. He said, they are so loving and so different that I'm just so wrapped up in it. And this was echoed by all who served him and loved him, especially during this past year. Family, friends, neighbors, caregivers, our medical team, our physical therapist, all of them were just so touched by him, the fullness of him, his humor, his feistiness, they all drew us in. The Holy Spirit in him enlivened all that was the essence of Richard McKusick. He didn't want to leave us so soon, and we all know that. And his strong will, he tried to resist it. But still, the peace in his heart was palpable to all as he accepted and trusted God with his life day by day. And in the end, fear was gone. He was fully at peace. And his fine mind finally grasped the infinite grace of Jesus. He cried when he recognized the amazing love of God for him, and with it, the blessed assurance that he would be with this God until the end of time. So, Dick, you'll always be my special guy. I love you forever, sweetheart. Wait for me.
I'm gonna try to play his favorite piece is Julia Florida. Unfortunately, my version of it wasn't the one that he loved most. So Julia Florida is written by Agustin Barrios, who's actually a Paraguayan composer, essentially displaced and touring the world. As I mentioned, La Catedral, the opening prelude to his wife, Julia Florida, he wrote in El Salvador. And so our friends in the studio, Salvadorian friends, this is Richard just sending his love to you. It's one of the most beautiful melodies. It's a barcarolle. And he really, truly loved this piece.
Loved it.
We're gonna play this piece together. would rather have you play it. The guitar is just going so out of tune. I can hear him like, all right, James, that's good. Just let Stevie play, all right?
Richard.
We do want to share one quick story also about how touched he was with Stevie. He had heard La Cathedral and Julia Florida had heard her play it. And one day he and Raul and I are on the back porch laughing as we usually are between lessons and talking about the world. And he said, James, how's Stevie doing? I said, she's doing good. She's doing good. She's, at school. She's struggling. She's working 2 jobs while she's trying to go to school. And he said, when she played Julia Florida for me, he said, it opened my whole mind to the piece. It changed. He said, I was so touched because I don't want to make a big deal out of any of this. Please don't. Just, he goes, but I just would like to leave her a check to help her with tuition. He goes, just really as low key as, and it just, the kind of person that he was, like just blows my mind. It really blows my mind. I mean, the way that he was touched. And when we visited you as he was, towards the end, and we visited you, and he looked at me, and we were playing something, and he said, James, I don't know music intellectually anymore. He goes, that's gone. He said, I experience it right now in my heart and my soul. I feel remember, he said, I know what that composer was thinking when he was playing this. I now understand it, not as a mental exercise, but from my soul. It was so powerful. It was just an amazing time.
YouTube. Okay. All right, so we're here. Thanks, and we're getting closer to the end here. So we're going to just read off a couple of people's condolences online, on YouTube, and on Facebook. And so Dan and I will share some of the ones in here that we see.
Yes, so Anne, from Gail Ahern, Dick was a wonderful coworker and friend for many years. And Bob and I send our love and condolences to you and your entire family. Until we all meet in heaven again, Dick will remain in our hearts.
And from Dorothy Framant, she says, I love you, Sarah. And I love how much you loved Dick and knew exactly how to comfort him when he was uncomfortable and how you encouraged him to do all that he could do.
From Sharon Johnston Epps, and what a testimony to the power of Christ. I know the Holy Spirit gave you strength today. We love you.
And then from Sandra Cho, she has a couple of comments here on YouTube, but I'll read this. Anne and family, thank you for doing this for all of Dick's friends so we can also pay our respects, celebrate his life, and have closure. Dick was an amazing man.
From Marion Wells, love to Anne and all the family, unspeakable loss, but you will meet again.
And now if you guys go to, it's going to be preserved there too on richardmckusick.com. You can see there's condolences on there as well. And could read one on here. There's quite a few. So I'll just start with his good friend, Leon Pink. A dear friend and colleague for many years, Dick made the world a better place and will be missed every day. GD, continue to bless his family who are equally loved.
And because I was reading from the Facebook comments, the only remaining comments are offers of discount Canadian pharmaceuticals. So if you want to go on and continue, thanks. And I'll bring that up.
A lot of the comments are in Portuguese, so I can't read them for Romy. So
Romy, can you come up?
And you want to translate one? All right. And Joyce Bandura commented that Anne, when you were giving your tribute, she wrote, "Anne, what a sweet tribute to Dick, Joe, and I will continue to lift you and your family in our prayers."
Cool. I'm gonna try my best to translate
You
this
just want to read it in Portuguese?
because it's in Spanish. So,
Spanish.
but in Spanish should say, or maybe do you speak Spanish? Should be. No, sorry. It says in Spanish, la muerte no nos roba los seres amados, which means the death doesn't steal our loved ones, but the opposite. It keeps them in our hearts and immortalizes them forever. But life, it's what sometimes, and most of the time, sorry. La vida si los roba muchas veces de felicidad. So it says that in life, sometimes in life, steal people from you, but not in death. Death immortalizes people in your heart, and that's one of them.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Good job.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, this is that time when anyone has something to share. A lot of sharing has already happened, but if anyone else wants to chip in and give a good word or thought, now would be a good time. You could either come up to the mic or you can share right from your chair. So it's, oh. Okay, everybody. So. Anybody?
I don't have anything prepared, but Dick really was a great guy. I'm Lee and I'm Ann's sister. So for 36 years, I've shared birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, anniversaries, all kinds of occasions with him. And he's just such a really great guy. And I remember when they decided to get married, it was a Saturday morning and Ann called me up and she said, well, we want to tell you something. So come have breakfast with us. It was a little diving Mexican restaurant in Colorado. So she said, well, we're going to get married. And I thought, my sister's quite a catch. This is the guy she wants. He must really be something. And he was.
So this is what we call appreciation. And I'd like to just say I appreciate my brother and Rick McKusick and everything that he means to all of us. And it's pretty obvious what we've seen today. And it'll carry on. Thank you everyone for being here in person and virtually. And in prayer and in thought. For honoring a great man, Richard McKusick, Rick. Thanks to James and Stevie Lynn for your gift of music. Beautiful. And your love for Rick. Thanks to Craig for your ongoing spiritual support and your holy leadership today. Thanks to all the family and friends who have been on this journey with Rick and Ann for ongoing support of time, food, help, and love. Thank you to the caregivers. Sarah from day one. Richard, is it party time? I probably just really ruined that. The first time I met you, she comes in at 8 o'clock. Richard, is it party time? Yes, just Sammy D, Menandro, Joyce, Maggie, all of you, and the doctors and the therapists. Thank you for your care of our brother. Thank you to Ann for being so in love with our brother and the wonderful companion you have been with him on this joyous life of yours. Thank you, Johnny, for being an amazing, talented, trusted son. And Sarah, this is going to be Short, but thank you for being his sweet girl. It has a lot of meaning behind it. So before I turn this over to Craig, I want to share a writing from Elizabeth Almonds that I saw on Facebook. It was shared by Rick's daughter's mom. And this is Lisa McKusick's mom, Elaine Hollows. Thank you for sharing this, Elaine. You can shed tears because they are gone, or you can smile because they lived. You can close your eyes and pray they will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that they left for you. Your heart can be empty because you can't see them, or you can be full of the love you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember only that they are gone, or you can cherish their memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind and feel empty, or you can do what they would want. Smile, open your heart, love, and go on. Craig?
Lord, what an amazing day. What an amazing family. What an amazing God you are. Oh, I'm just so impressed by so many of the things that have been shared. Amen. Very moving. Lord, I pray a blessing on every person that is in attendance today and those that are watching as well on online. Just pray a blessing. Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 through 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Amen. And we're going to have one closing song, and then we're going to be done.
I think this is, sorry. Let's just check some sound, okay, guys? Sorry, the sun is having a little effect on the guitar. Let me pull this back in here. This is perfect for Richard to leave this song for me because it's written in the mid-1700s. The lyrics don't really go with the melody at all whatsoever. And when Ann was talking about this, it's an amazing song. It really is. And it's a Wesleyan song. My family's Methodist, so I'm sure we have sang it. But when I was listening to it, I was thinking that how difficult the melody line is, and I was laughing because I could hear him thinking, "Yeah, let's follow that melody line." So if you would all sing with me. So this is going to be. And can it be that I should gain an entrance in God's Savior's blood? Died he for me, who caused his pain, for me with him the death pursued. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved. God should die for me. He left his Father's throne above to free so infinite desire. Emptied himself of all but love and led for Adam's helpless race. 'Tis mercy of all immense and great, and how God would die for me. Long by imprisoned son is mine, as found with Jesus in men's lives are. morning with light. My chains broke off, my heart was free. I bow below and follow thee. And long my imprisoned spirit lays. All right, we go back right there. Yeah, right. Thanks, my spirit lay. Bound by sin and nature. Mine, I diffuse the giving way. My chance, sorry. Oh, no, good. My favorite part of this, the chorus. Amazing love, how can it be that thou, my God, should die for me? Just two more times. Amazing love, how can it be that thou, my God, should die for me? Last time. Amazing love, how can it be that thou, my God, should die for me? I already sang that. So, did I miss what I did? I did what, sorry? This romanza, these two were playing.